Bonsoir tout le monde, nous sommes ici pour le Q&A de Stitches, fantastique film finalement avec un clown tueur. Ça faisait longtemps qu'on n'en avait plus vu. Alors nous sommes ici avec les producteurs et réalisateurs, Connor McMahon qui est le scénariste et le réalisateur, et puis John McDonnell et Brendan McCarthy qui sont les deux producteurs de Financial Guy. So, le Q&A sera en anglais bien sûr, et puis mais si vous avez des questions et que vous les posez en français, je me ferai un plaisir de leur traduire. Is it correct? Everybody has his name? Okay. So, welcome, gentlemen. Again, for some of you that already saw a couple of years ago, you're back with Stitches. Well, one of you answered the question already, but not the two others. Are you afraid of a clown?
Yes. No, but I can exploit other people's fear of clowns. I know it's something that other people don't like, you know, but... yeah, me personally, I don't really mind clowns that much, you know.
And what about you?
I like clowns.
You like clowns? Use the microphone.
I like clowns.
You like clowns. Yeah, because I heard someone telling me just before the movie that she found clowns sinister. She didn't like clowns.
Yeah, it's just that smile on their face. You just know they're hiding something, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody can be that happy all the time.
Why the idea of the clown? Because indeed, now seriously, a lot of people don't like clowns. They just, you know, not comfortable with clown. So why the idea of a killer clown?
Well, I think for me, I wanted to do like a horror comedy, and I was trying like different ideas, but the clown seemed like a perfect character to do like. To combine the idea of horror and comedy together, you know, because you can kind of use a lot of the clown's techniques to kill people, and that seemed like a funny blend. So, you know, just from that point of view, it's almost like, you know, if you want to do a horror comedy, it's like, you know, a clown is a pretty good starting point for that, you know. Yeah,
and something I read, well, everybody when they saw the synopsis of the movie about a clown, a killer clown, everybody thinks hit. So I read in an interview that you wanted to make something totally different, another approach of the clown. So how did you approach the character to have something totally different?
I think the starting point was like when like even at the beginning when we were talking to the costume people or the makeup people or anything like that, like when they said, what should the clown look like? I was like, just don't make it look like it. It can look like anything you want, but just not like it. Because, I mean, I love it. I think it's a great film, but it's so iconic and it's so in people's heads that you kind of don't want to copy that or replicate that. So I think, like, you know, we didn't want to have the red hair or the you know what I mean? It was all the things about it that you just because it's you kind of want to try to do something different, you know. And I guess the tone of it is a more serious film, kind of, or creepy. So with this, it was definitely more a comic approach, you know.
And how did you propose the project to the financial guy?
It was like, hey, read the script.
And you found it immediately interesting? You found it a hit?
Well, I had been involved. I worked in the public funding organisation in Ireland, and I'd supported Connor's first film, Dead Meat, which is a fantastic zombie movie, and so we're kind of familiar with his work. And John and I are very committed in fantastic films to making genre films. So it was a bit of a thrill. Connor, we had actually proposed a couple of films to him that he declined, and so he had this, and we read it and went, absolutely.
I think the only note was make it 10% gorier or something. Make it 5%.
It was 10% scarier and 10% funnier and 10% more frightening.
Yeah, they were the best notes I ever got in a script. Like, normally you get all these detailed notes, and it's like,
but the usual thing is more is or less is more. But in the house of fantastic films, we say more is more.
Yeah, I agree. But talking about more and more, you use a lot of prosthetic and synthetic blood. You did it because it's cheaper, or because you wanted to give this 18 movie touch that we can see on screen?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think from the beginning it was always. I mean, I guess I grew up on the 80s horror movies, and so yeah, always in the back of my head was to kind of try and replicate the 80s slasher movie. I mean, the film is kind of a homage to the 80s slasher movies. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's one of those things. It's just more fun. It's more fun in the pre-production when you're trying to create that stuff and you're trying to figure out how to do it. It's more fun on the set when, like, it's one of those things that it kind of gives a boost to the crew and everything. You know, when they can see what it's gonna look like, or you know, the guy with the big head comes on the day, and you know, it kind of gives everyone kind of a boost, and they know what the film's, rather than just some guy with a dots on his face, you know, and they mightn't just, like, you know, a guy with, and then yeah, so I think I mean, there was one effect we were gonna do, the end scene with computers, and you know, it was one of those things. It took 2 months trying to do computer graphic stuff, and then in the end we just did it prosthetically, and you know, we did it in a day, and it looked much better. So you know, I think for me, generally prosthetics looks better. You know, it's I just prefer it. So if you can do it with prosthetic wise, I you know, I'd rather do it that way. You know. And
is it cheaper for the production to have prosthetic, because makeup, the time for the makeup every day for actors, that's also cost money?
Well, I don't know.
I don't think it's about the money ultimately. I think it's about how it looks. And I think audiences now, if they think that you do something for real, they kind of admire that. But if you do something CG, it kind of looks shit. So we like doing it for real.
I think our responsibility is to make sure that those kind of sequences always actually look good. So you can't ever kind of say, well, let's just make it cheaper. I mean, because in the end, if it just looks crap, then the film fails. So what we actually do with all our films is we shoot the film, and then we edit it, and then we kind of look at what's needed, and then we go back. So with lots of these sequences, we kind of put in stuff later. And it really worked well because we know exactly what's required, or you know, Conor knows exactly.
John, you're really pushing for because the head exploding was something that, like, we've tried to figure out a couple of ways to do that, and I think John just kept going, blow it up with dynamite. You know, that's the way to do it. And actually, in the end, that was.
Great.
I think the prosthetic guys kind of did, and they did a fabulous job. But the times that we wanted them to do the exploding head, they kind of did it a couple of times on the set. And we kind of looked and went, nah.
It was with compressed air or something, so it just kind of went, bleh.
And I said to Conor, look, we have this guy called Boom Boom. That's his nickname. And we said, if we get Boom Boom, I promise you, the head will go all over the fucking stage. So Conor said, okay.
You used dynamite.
We used dynamite. We brought the head onto a big stage, and we blew the shit out of it. And filmed it in very slow motion, so it looked great.
And a lot of cat food. It was very smelly.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why, cat food. You put cat food into the head, and blood and cat food.
It looks great on screen.
But it was a great moment because we all had to hide behind things. He was going, okay, now, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Est-ce qu'il y a des questions dans la scène? Oui. Ah ben, il y en a même 2. Devant.
There was a really 80s vibe in the movie. How did that come about?
I think, I mean, it was definitely the starting point, like, as in, even from the start, it was what I wanted to do. It was like, not make a kind of a postmodern film, but make a film like you could have rented out if it was in the 1980s. That was sort of in the back of my head. So it kind of influenced a lot of the things, like even from the look of the film, like, or the costumes. It was all like, they were all like bright colors, and like, we didn't want to make a dark kind of gritty movie. We wanted to make something bright and kind of colorful. I guess with films like Nightmare on Elm Street, or those kind of movies where you know, where the kills were just very, like, it was almost the reason to watch the film was the specific kills. So I think there was definitely a lot of, it was just the kind of films that had influenced me, and I kind of wanted to sort of make a homage to that. So yeah, I think that was where the 80s thing came from. But it was something, it's the kind of thing where you kind of tell to all the different departments, like it was the costume or the production design. I was always saying, just watch 1980s movies. That's kind of the feel I was going for, you know.
I was also wondering how you murders? What was the beginning of it? I sometimes had the impression that you used something like a random words generator or something like that, and then it said umbrella. Okay, let's do something with an umbrella, something that really something really original. How did that happen?
That's just if I have any gift in this world, I think it's like thinking of ways to kill people. That's just like, like that, like water bottle.
My room is not close.
You could jam that in somebody's face, and then their eye would pop into the water or something. Like it's just. I was just thinking of. To be honest, every film I do, the starting point is usually I think of death scenes, and if I can think of enough death scenes, then I kind of go, okay, now I'll do the film. So it's like I kind of go back. Okay, I better write some characters and write some dialogue. You know what I mean? To fill in the bits, so I can get to the bit where we kill the people. So I think the starting point was always like, okay, clown. I think the first step was. Make a balloon animals out of someone's intestines, and I think from that point it was like, okay, this could be a film here, So then it was just like thinking of all the things that clowns have or clowns do, and just trying to work that into how to kill people, So you could go on and on, So
we always stay in a different hotel.
Yeah, you're right. I was wondering if I give you, for instance, a lipstick, because you're so very creative, how are you going to kill your producers with a lipstick, for instance?
With a lipstick?
Why do we have to die? I don't like that story.
Why does everyone want to kill the producers?
Well, there's no movie without us.
You
just
don't
remind
give money
you.
enough.
You usually go for the eyes. That's always go for the eyes.
That's why I wear glasses.
The eyes are asking for it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's got to be something with, stabbing somebody with the thing and then using the blood to put the lipstick back in your face with blood or something like that. But yeah, give me 5 minutes and...
Okay, we'll get back to that later then.
Maybe you should think about another script with with this kind of murder. Il y a encore des questions? Zijn er nog vragen?
There you go.
It works.
There you go. So you've been doing a lot of horror stuff, and the question goes out to the entire team, I would imagine. How do you try to make each horror movie different? And are you guys going to work together, collaborate on another one? Because you guys seem like you get together on during a role-playing game convention and then start talking about possible horror movies and afterwards playing Call of Cthulhu or something. So.
Yeah, that's the plan. If we can, we had a lot of fun doing this film. So why not do another one? Absolutely. What was the question again? Oh, yeah. I don't even, again, it kind of goes back to the death thing. You can kind of, from my point of view, I just kind of go, whatever ideas come into my head, and I just go, oh, hey, how about this movie, and then, if the guys like it, and think it might be a film that people might like to see, then we might move to the next stage. But I guess for me, it's not so much about looking at other films and going, oh, how do I do something different? It's just more about do you know what I mean? I'll just start looking at stuff and going, oh, I could kill someone with that and that and that. And then does that make it, how can I make a script around, you know what I mean? It kind of builds out of that. So, so again, yeah, no, it's we all love horror. I think it's safe to say, we all have a good appreciation for horror and what's gone before. And I think so it's good in that way that, if I can come up with an idea, the guys as well will know if it's something that's new or fresh, you know what I mean? So that's a good barometer, I suppose. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we're looking at a couple of projects at the moment which are not the same at all by any means. They're totally different.
You try and stay out of vampires. And
Yeah, we don't do
things
vampires
you
and
know,
we don't do zombies because
because-
everybody else does that.
And they do them better. So do you know, like I mean, until we do them better, then.
A question about the clown. I believe he was played by Ross Noble, and I think he's a writer-director himself as well. So, was it different to work with an actor who's used to making his own stuff and being in his own videos? And did he want to have more creative control, or was this a kind of actor who wants to watch the monitor after every scene gets shot or not?
Well, Ross is not he'd never acted in a film before. He's a comedian. Yeah, he's a comedian, so he'd be like a stand-up comedian. So he'd be quite popular in England and Ireland and Australia. Like, so he more does stand-up. So this was kind of, for him, it was like one of his first films. So, I mean, initially, I thought he might be good for it because he's quite physical and he kind of jumps around on the stage a lot. And I'd sent him the script, yeah. And I think, you know, his first response to the script was, "You had me at knife in the face." That's what he said. So it was like, I knew he kind of got the vibe of the whole thing. And he was a big horror fan himself. And as it happened, he used to be a children's entertainer. So he used to be a clown himself. So, you know, he immediately got like the hatred of children and stuff like that. You know, he could channel that into the role. And actually what was funny was the hard part was when I'd say, you need to juggle badly. And he was like, when you can juggle really well, it's really hard to juggle badly. So he's like, you know, he's just good at it. Like, so, but it also fed into, like, he could, there's a scene where he flips an umbrella up, you know, in the air and stuff like that. And that all came from him. And I think like a lot of his stand-up is based on improvisation as well. So, I mean, I mean, it was tricky, but just because of the part, it wasn't like he had a whole lot of speaking parts, but even in those little bits, we were always open to see if, you know, if he had ideas or anything like that. So it was actually really easy or really fun, you know. So
you didn't cast him. You sent him the script immediately. It was your first choice. Yeah. The actor for the clown, Ross Noble.
Well, he was the one we preferred. I mean, we had spoken. We have quite serious contacts on more serious, bigger films, and we checked out with one of our friends who's a casting director who said that they had actually cast him in another film for a very well-known director, and that they knew he was going to be a brilliant actor in that film. And then that particular film didn't happen, but we kind of had that knowledge that other people thought he was going to be brilliant. So when we spoke to him, we were very confident that he'd be able to do it because he had screen tested for them and had done a really good job. So we were delighted to get him.
Yeah, he did a great job. Est-ce qu'il y a encore des questions? Zijn er nog vragen? Ja?
I have another question for Brandon and John. You made several other horror films before, and whenever I see the names of you guys, I can safely say I'm going to like the film in advance. And I was wondering, what are the most important things you have learned in the past on how to make a really effective horror movie?
Just that there's that no matter what, that there's a sort of an element of an emotional attachment somehow to the story. You know, that even, you know, that you always get some kind of connection with the characters, you know, and that therefore you can kind of go with them and the story, and then that the story's bonkers.
And I think the truth is that we make films that we really want to see. You know, for a long time we made very serious films before, you know, in a past life, and won lots of very prestigious awards and all of that kind of shit. And then we kind of thought, you know, something, we want to make films that we'd actually like to see. And that's what, in the last kind of 10 years, that's what we've concentrated on, is just fun films that we enjoy making, that we would pay money to go and see. It's as simple as that, really.
And the one thing I can't understand is why there isn't more discussion about the umbrella death in Stitches, which is just amazing. You know, we're very lucky to win a prize for the best death at Fright Fest in London. but it was for the exploding head, which I think is good. But in all seriousness, come on, the eye, that is amazing.
Yeah, when she
that
eats
is
the
amazing.
eyes.
When Connor described it to us, you're just going, yeah, I couldn't really get it, and then you're going, oh my God. It's amazing. It's art.
I would like to point out again, we stay in a different hotel.
Well, talking about that, you said you had an award. You already had several awards for some films. How do you know when you have a script that is going to work? And for you, what's the ingredient of a successful horror film?
Again, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is it's films we want to see. You know, when Brendan and myself got together to work on fantastic films, we just decided that, you know, we'd made a lot of very worthy films, a lot of European art house films, a lot of films that have won lots of awards all over the place, but they weren't really satisfying us. They were acknowledged publicly as being very successful films and all that, but not fun. And I think we're at that point where we just want to do things that we really enjoy. We as a company, Fantastic Films, kind of do really, for us, interesting projects. We do what we want. And I think that's, in this day and age, we're in a very lucky position to be able to do the kind of films we want to make because we want to see them.
Hopefully you're hooked after 30 pages. I think that's...
We hope you guys want to see them as well.
Because I won't be reading it after 30 pages if I'm not. But really, you know, that's it. You're kind of going... Because that's what you're doing when you think about your harshest moment of watching a movie, it's kind of... it is truthfully on TV, right? You know what I mean? Where you kind of go to... Oh, weird title, you go, definitely I'm watching that. And, you know, but you give it kind of 10, 15 minutes and then you're out of there. So you're going, is it cool enough for that? And that's, you know, that's the way you should always think about it, you know, instead of being, oh no, massive cinema, 1,000 adoring fans, you're going, I'll be so lucky, you know. And if it wins on that basis, you know, on its harshest view, then you're onto a winner, I think.
And something else, there are some producers who like to direct too, sometimes some films, and so when they decide to produce a film, sometimes they try to put their touch on the direction of the film or even the script. Are you this kind of producer who sometimes try to give an idea or to have an idea in the script or in the direction of the film?
Well, I'd like to think that we collaborate. I mean, you know, to be honest, you're better off asking Connor how he felt about the experience about working with us. I think we're quite focused on what we believe the audience wants to see. And I think if we feel that the film is going to entertain the audience that we want to entertain, then we're more than happy to let the director completely run with it, you know? Yeah,
no, I mean, it was one of those things where, like I said before, just even with the notes, like I mean, I'm kind of half joking and not joking when you know, John says like you know, make it 10% more gory or scary, but in a way that's like, it's kind of a joke, but at the same time it's also letting you go off and kind of go, it's kind of empowering as well, you know what I mean? Like sometimes if you get too many notes, you're kind of like, oh, I have to do this and this and this, whereas when somebody kind of goes, oh, just like, you kind of know that they just mean, just make it fucking gory or scary or funny or whatever it is. And I think when you're allowed to go off and do your own thing, it makes you work that bit harder just yourself to try and you know, make it work, you know. So I mean, that's what I really like, because like it was one of those shoots where even though the guys were around, you know, and, you know, if anything was to go wrong. But at the same time, I always felt that when I was shooting the film that I could do just day to day, you know what I mean, that I could do what I wanted to do. And then we might look at the stuff, you know, whether it was the evening or at the end of the week, and we might review it. But it was never a sense of like somebody over your shoulder, you know, constantly on every shot, and you know what I mean. But, you know, so it was never that. So I really enjoyed the whole process, you know.
So you were kind of free, and it was really collaboration at the end to see if there was nothing wrong with what you did on a day or on the week.
Yeah, it was like it was a freedom, but at the same time, it was a collaboration as well, in that we'd always look at the stuff, and you know what I mean. If there was a problem, or if there was something was missing, we could go back and talk about that. So it wasn't, but it wasn't in an overbearing way. You know what I mean? So yeah.
The thing about it is, if you're making a film with us, you know what you're making. You know what I mean? We're very clear about it, and actually Connor is too. So it's not a problem, you know. But I think from our point of view, what we're always scared about is words like psychological horror or elevated genre, you know, because what that means is there's no third act, you know what I mean? It's going, no, it was all in their head, or it's all under the floorboards, and you're just going, fuck off, you know. I mean, you know, I'm sorry, you know, we want, you know, that's when we interfere.
Yeah,
just
the
go,
knives
"Excuse me."
have to come out.
Yeah.
At the end
We
of the day, the
believe
knives
that
have to come out.
The knives, now that may be, you know, I don't know, weeds that eat you or whatever, you know, but something's gonna happen, you know, that you don't want to happen, you know.
Like, I think because we all come from the point of, again, like I said, that we like horror movies. It's not like, because there'd be some producers that just make horror because they know, oh, we can sell that horror. But when you come from the point of view that we actually like this, you know, it's just a different way of making it. It's like you enjoy the process. You want to. Yeah, so it's not so much. I don't know. It's a different. It was an enjoyable process, you know. So, yeah.
Il y a encore des questions dans le public?
You talked about it earlier on. I think personally that the novel was way scarier than the film or the miniseries ever was. And obviously they couldn't include a hey, this bunch of 13-year-olds have group sex, which was in the novel. But you did manage to finally succeed making a film with a clown as an iconic character. So, are you afraid, or are you hoping that people will want you to make a franchise out of it, or will kind of push you to make a sequel?
Well, we've had a lot of enthusiasm about a sequel and a franchise for it, so we'll have to see. We're going to make a decision on that quite shortly, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, it's
watching your reactions. It seems like there's gonna be a sequel.
Yeah, it's just thinking. It's like you know, it'd be fun to kind of go, how many more death scenes can you pull out of clowning? You know.
Think about the lipstick.
I think of the lipstick. You know, there's definitely there's definitely more clown tricks that, you know, we haven't like exploited, you know. So I think if the opportunity was there, definitely, you know, I think we'd be up for it.
Il y a encore des questions? Derrière.
Development of the movie take, because I think that when I met you 2 years ago, you were already talking about this project. So how long did it take since the very beginning till now?
I think it was about 4 or 5 years actually from the very start. Like it was a project that I think initially I wrote in about 2 weeks, the first draft, but then it was something that I mean, it's one of those things. It just takes time to raise money and, you know, get everything off the ground. But I don't think. But it never changed a whole lot over the course of that. It's just one of those things. But yeah, I think it took about 4 years. I think from the very beginning. Yeah.
And what was most challenging in the whole project? What was most difficult to do?
Do you know what's the most challenging? Gosh, I don't know. I mean, like, it's one of those things. Every aspect is probably challenging. Like, you know, for, like, even if I think about a pre-production, like casting, figuring out how to do all the prosthetics, figuring out, like, you know, like it's almost like every part of it was a challenge in and of itself. So, yeah, I don't know. What was the most challenging? Anybody?
Probably the casting.
I mean,
The casting, yeah, the
I
casting.
do remember
Casting.
actually, just in terms of you know, just talking about the clown and the look of that for at a certain point, when we really were going for it, was kind of, okay, so how do we, you know, not make it look like it? And we all sat down, the whole team, and it just became. For a while, it definitely was an insurmountable problem. We were just going, this looks shit, this look, you know, every drawing.
Yeah, it is one of those things. It's like even the simplest of designs, like, takes a long time to figure out how it's gonna look. Like, yeah, so we went through a lot of different ideas to come to, and it was one of those things as well. Even when we'd cast Ross, like initially, like, so he came over the first time, and it's like, you know, he's just a guy, like, you know, and it's really weird to sort of try and get him to start acting like a clown when he's just no makeup or anything on, you know. So, like, I remember the first day he came over and he was doing the scene where, you know, he pulls the umbrella out of his trousers and he's gonna stab everyone, and it's just like him in a room, and he's like, the girl's there, and he's like putting his hands down his trousers, and it's just like all weird, like, you know, it's not like it's like, oh, this, you know, this is a bit odd. And so it was one of those things that, like, even for him, when he got the shoes on, then he figured out, oh, I can walk a bit different, and then he put the costume or the makeup on, and then he felt a bit more comfortable, like, even creating the character of the clown or how he was going to talk and speak was something that it wasn't there from the start. It was something that, as the costume and as the makeup, and, you know, it was almost on the first day of shooting when everything came together, you know what I mean? And he went, okay, now this is the makeup, this is the costume now, and then he was kind of free to do it. So it was one of those weird processes where, as we were designing the look, you know, it was only when it came together that when we were shooting that it actually all sort of worked.
Yeah.
I think the thing that Ross found the hardest was the fact that he had one of his eyes closed for all of the film, so his entire perception of depth was completely gone because he only had the one eye. So he kept going kind of, I don't know whether I'm stabbing here or here or here. So I think that for him that was a huge challenge.
Or yeah, for as well, like he always wanted to do, like, Ross is like a guy who likes to do his own stunts and everything like that, you know. And so sometimes we had a stunt coordinator who wouldn't let him do certain things just because, you know, it was dangerous or whatever. And Ross would be like, no, and like he'd be talking to me and he'd be going, here, listen, we'll distract Safety Boy, you know. And he had this, like, you know, he couldn't see out of the right eye. And the stunt guy was sitting right beside him, you know, and he was like, here, listen, we'll distract Safety Boy. And, you know, I was like, hey, he's just right over there. But, you
just can't see him.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago, the director of Fantastic Fear of Everything told me that being on set and directing for him is really a horrible experience. He really hates it. But somehow I have the impression that you had a blast, or am I mistaken?
Oh, like, I mean, like, it's one of those things where I envy people that can be on set all the time. Like, I envy, like, people who are on crew positions, you know, like people who are DOP or whatever, because they get the constant, the kind of thing about when you're directing, it's sometimes it takes 2 years to get a movie off the ground. So it's like, yeah, no, I love, like, it's the one time you're in. Like,
I'm going to interfere here and just say, for him, it is a blast. I mean, seriously, we had 3 pickup. You know, we explained to you that we like to do the film, then we like to plan a certain amount of pickups afterwards, and we did a whole bunch of pickups. And I'll never forget one evening where, you know, we'd been throwing bloody heads, and Connor was one side of the camera, throwing the head, and then was like, let's get him a cab home. And it's like he was just completely covered in blood, you know. And just going, all right, should he get a cab or should someone drive him home? You know, it's like this man covered in blood going, honestly, it's fine.
We just thought it was great, the idea of ringing a taxi company and saying, could you pick somebody up here, please? And they'd arrive and Connor'd be there.
But from our point of view, I've got to say he's a kind of hands-on director, literally, you know, and as we were recalling actually earlier, you know, if you remember the detail of the start, where Stitches dies, there's a hand comes on the counter just with the glove on it, and I just remember it was kind of late in the day, and Connor just went, fuck, just give me the glove, and just went, we need that shot right now, and it's like bang, bang, and you just kind of, how cool, you know, so.
Yeah,
absolute blast. He's there the whole time.
No, it's rare you get on a film set, so it's like, I guess when you're there, you want to just like, it's kind of like, I mean, making a film is like, I guess to me it's like, what's the word? It doesn't happen very often, so you really appreciate it every time it comes around, and every time you're on a film set. So I guess you really want to give it, you know, as much as you can while you're there. So, yeah. So whatever you can do to make the film better while you're there, you're just trying to constantly push it, you know.
I thought one of the funniest things about making this film was the house we were filming in. Connor and the director of photography stayed in the house, and every night I was saying to them, go out and film the moon. You know, it's a full moon tonight, you must go out and film the moon. And all I kept thinking was Brussels. I know when we show this film, they're all going to go, oh! And I thought, you've got to film the moon. And thankfully it lasted in the film.
And I thought it was you were worried about the script or something.
So that's your print in the script. That's the moon. And maybe, well, we're going to hand this Q&A because, it's going on tonight. But one question before handing, what's your next project?
Hey, if someone give me the money, I'll think about killing some more kids. No problem.
And I guess you would produce it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No,
in
fairness, we do have some projects with Connor, and yeah, I mean, we're excited about a project called The Gardener, and we'll say no more about it except don't go out into the garden.
And think about the lipstick. So thank you guys
Watch those daffodils, that's all I'm saying.
Watch those lips.
Thank you guys for being with us tonight, and it was a great film again, a great meeting again, a great Q&A with you again. Pour les signatures, les photos, n'hésitez pas, c'est maintenant. Well, you know the drill. Signature pictures is now.
So will we just stay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right before. Like it should be.
Okay. Like always. The book.
Hey, Freddie.
So you can write a bunch of shit.
Like every year, same shit.
Like every year.
You fucking bunch of liars. Wow. Wow. How do I compete with that?
You have to draw a better drawing.
I can draw.
Really?
It might take me a while.
A killing scene.
I'll
With lipstick. With lipstick.
We'll come back in about half an hour.
Okay. Okay.
Another couple of whiskies.
Okay, I didn't draw that scene.
No pressure. Glad we didn't have that person.
Exactly.
So far, not so good.
One thing.
Yes, it's a blank page.
Nobody knows.
I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna draw.
We are all here, but we'd like to go.
We're not watching.
At some point.
We're not watching much.
Yeah, we'd like to go.
Okay.
Get home and catch breakfast.
I wouldn't have done that.
No, you.
Okay, I'll try to draw it.
Absolutely. It's our paper. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Every year we'll always come here.
Great.
Every time you come with a film, it's a success.
The lives is like what we do. We like and it's great because like you get shows you can with a big audience that's interested.
The umbrella scene. popping up in the mouth. No, I really had a great time watching that.
Good.
I'm glad you
I
liked
saw
it.
myself when I was 14 and watching that kind of 80s action movie.
Absolutely.
And what I like is the transition between a killing scene and something common in the party. You see?
Yeah. So it's all going on at the same time.
Oh man.
They're like kind of getting off with each
Always
other
related
downstairs.
to
yeah.
something normal going on in the
Yeah.
party.
And it's all kind of quite familiar, you know, kind of young party stuff. Yeah, it's cool. I think it feels kind of authentic, and that's kind of great. Very good.
This,
And-
no,
and
I'm
you-
not really. This
the
isn't
opening
even. This
scene.
is like
Oh man,
not even that
with
good.
I didn't expect that. As
Oh, right,
opening
yeah,
scene.
no,
I was pathetic. Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's all there.
With the thing.
Oh, the horn go.
Yeah.
That's really. I didn't understand that myself. They had to explain it to me. I didn't understand what was going on.
But I think there's nothing to understand except that the clown is really pathetic.
Okay, there we go. No pressure. 10 cameras.
Right.
You've got a reasonable amount of coverage there.
Okay, there we go. It's not the greatest picture I've ever drawn, but there you go.
Same stuff, not the same one.
Under the
I
circumstances.
really like that.
It's good as bravo. It's good. It's not as good as that one. That was good. Yeah. Wow.
Wow, cool.
John. Alright.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, I have two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is
Mama,
heard my
that's
collection.
probably the guy of Mama.
Yeah.
That was pretty movie.
Well done.
Yeah. These people are.
Produced by Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, yeah, it's fabulous stuff.
You saw it?
I saw it, yeah, I saw it about 2 weeks ago.
I did the Q&A, it was brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Stop looking the other way, Freddie.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought it was fine.
It will be amazing. But it can be very quick and very good.
We should sign the opposite page.
That doesn't look a bit like Ross.
Doesn't look even remotely like Rosie.
There. I know, it's fine.
Nicely brilliant.
Are you all signing the book, guys?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Sign it. Another drawing.
Can we just sign kind of
The lipstick. Go on, we'll just sign.
Can I have a picture of three of you guys?
Sure.
I pity the editor.
Wait, is it one number two?
get in the middle?
You can join us and you just push the button. Come on.
Second.